Now we are going to solve the problem number 6 in the chapter 7. Look at the diagram. Here the three polarides are used. First, the polaroid number 1, its transmission axis, it is drawn vertically through the first polaroid. Some amount of light is passing through that. The intensity of the incident light is taken as I0. And then here another polaroid is there, third polaroid. Look at the transmission axis of the first polaroid and third polaroid. First polaroid transmission axis is represented as P1, third polaroid transmission axis is represented as P3. So in between P1 and P3, what is the angle? 90 degree. Both are perpendicular to each other. That is the transmission axis of the first polaroid and the transmission axis of the second polaroid. In between angle is 90 degree. Both are perpendicular to each other. Now we are going to introduce the second polaroid. The second polaroid that is introduced between the first and third. Are you clear? Now the second polaroid is to be rotated. Now we have to rotate the second polaroid in such a way that the outcoming light from the system should be maximum. Now we have to find out the angle through which the second polaroid to be rotated in such a way that the outcoming light from the third polaroid, that is from the entire system, the maximum amount of light it has to come out. For that, at what angle the middle one that should be rotated? That is a question here. Here first we have to learn the basics. Okay. Now look at the diagram. The intensity of the incident light is I0 from the first polaroid. After incidence, what happens? The polarized light, the intensity of the polarized light from the first polaroid, its intensity will be always reduced to half of the original intensity. Therefore I1 is taken as I0 by 2. Okay. Now after that, the light, polarized light, again it is passing through the second polaroid. The outcoming intensity, that is from second polaroid, the outcoming light, it is having intensity I2. So the I2 intensity that can be calculated with the help of the Malus law. Here only we are using which law? Malus law is used. Are you clear? So according to the Malus law, the intensity of the light which comes out from the second polaroid can be calculated as I1 cos square theta. Here theta is the angle of rotation of the second polaroid. Okay. Any doubt on this? So here I2, that is directly proportional to square of the cos of the angle. Okay. Now after that, the I2, that light it is allowed to pass through the third polaroid. Now the outcoming light it is having the intensity I3. Are you clear? I3 can also be calculated with the help of the Malus law. So I3 will be equal to I2 into cos square pi. Here pi is the angle of rotation of the, here the angle of rotation of the third polaroid. Are you clear? Angle between the second polaroid and third polaroid to be taken as, what is this? Pi. Any doubt in this? So the third polaroid that is rotated through an angle of how much? Pi. Understood? So this is the angle that is called as, what is this? Pi. The third polaroid to be rotated through an angle of pi. After rotating the third polaroid through an angle of pi, what happened now? The angle between the transmission axis of the third polaroid and first polaroid becomes 90. So therefore, if theta angle, that is the angle of rotation of the second polaroid, and the angle of rotation of the third polaroid, if both are added, you will get the total angle 90. So this is the most important step that you have to understand. Theta is the angle between the P1 and P2. Are you clear? Theta is the angle between which two polarides? P1 and P2. Understood? Pi is the angle between the P2 and P3. Understood? If both are added, you will get the angle between P1 and P3. So in that order we have to take. So your aim is to calculate the theta. At what angle that second polarizer to be rotated to get the maximum intensity of light. which comes out from the system. Which comes out from the system means which comes out from the third polaroid. Okay, so we'll start the step now. Very easy one. For that we have to take the I3. Our aim is to get the maximum value of I3. So for that what we have to do, so we have to start the step here. I3 is equal to I2 cos square pi can be written. We know the expression of I2. So I3 is equal to I1 cos square theta cos square pi can be written. I3 is equal to I1 cos square theta. Instead of pi we can write 90 minus theta. So this step, from this step we can write here. The most important thing is pi is equal to 90 minus theta. Don't forget, this step is important. Okay, so instead of pi we can substitute 90 minus theta. Again I3 is equal to I1 is equal to I0 by 2 can be written cos square theta cos 90 minus theta can be written. I3 is equal to I0 divided by 2 cos square theta cos 90 minus theta, that can be written as sin square theta. Okay, here cos square is there, sin square theta. Cos square 90 minus theta can be written as sin square theta. Okay, now for mathematical convenience, what you have to do now, here multiply the 2 with 1 4. Here 4 is divided, no, therefore 4 must be multiplied at the top. So multiply and divide by 4. Cos square theta sin square theta you will get. Now in the next step we can write like this. So this factor becomes I0 divided by 8. The entire thing can be written as 2 cos square theta sin square theta can be written. Are you clear? After that, that one must be squared. This entire factor must be squared. I3 is equal to I0 divided by 8. How this one can be written? This one could be written as 2 cos square theta sin square theta is there. Understood? This one could be written as sin 2 theta. This one could be written as sin 2 theta squared. It can be written as sin 2 theta squared. After that, how I3 can be written? I0 divided by 8. Here this one could be squared inside. Sin square 2 theta can be written. Are you clear? How this value become maximum? This value should be maximum. How is it possible? This entire value I3 must be maximum. That is a question. At what angle theta the I3 will be maximum? That is a question. When this factor will become maximum, replace this factor. I will write it separately. The sin square 2 theta should be equal to 1. Only then the factor will become maximum. Are you clear? So we can write sin square 90 should be equal to 1. Sin 90 value is equal to 1. Are you clear? Therefore sin square 90 will also will be equal to 1. So here when 2 theta is equal to how much? 90 degree, this factor becomes 1. So when theta is equal to 90 divided by 2 means what will be the value of theta? 45. So 45 degree is the value answer. Are you clear? You substitute 45 here. If this theta is substituted here, what will happen? 2 into 45 is equal to 90. Sine square 90 is equal to 1. So on the whole, the I3 value, it becomes maximum after the substitution of this 45. I will substitute. Look at the maximum value of the intensity. I0 divided by 8 sine square 2 into 45. The next answer will be I0 divided by 8 sine square. That one becomes 90. So the factor becomes 1. So finally I0 by 8 is the maximum value of intensity that comes out from the system. Note down, this is the maximum intensity of light that comes out from the system when the angle is 45. So this is the answer. This is the maximum amount of light that comes out from the system. This is the angle through which the second Polaroid to be rotated. Only then you will be getting the maximum intensity of light. Okay.